Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and my law firm assists physician assistants with employment contract issues. Today I'm just going to break down kind of the key components of what should be in an employment agreement for a PA. So, anytime you're being offered an employed position, they will usually start off with an offer letter and then follow up with the actual employment agreement, which contains kind of the terms that dictate the relationship. The main parts of any employment agreement are: one, how long it lasts, so it's called the term. Two, how the contract is terminated, which will be under a section called Termination. Three, compensation. Four, benefits. And then five, the restrictive covenants. And so I'll just briefly go through each one. So the term of the agreement, usually somewhere between 1 to 3 years. Just kind of depends upon the situation. Now, this kind of dovetails into termination. Every contract PA signs absolutely must have what's called without cause termination. And this will be a clause that states the PA can terminate the agreement at any time for any reason with a certain amount of notice to the other party. So somewhere between 30 to 90 days is pretty standard in the healthcare arena. Now, why is it so important? Well, let's say you have a 3-year contract and there's no way for you to terminate the contract beyond maybe the other party breaching it. Many situations that look great from the outside turn out to be different when you start. And so maybe the support's not there. Maybe your patient load is not what you were expecting. Maybe your compensation is tied to productivity and the volume isn't there and you're not making enough money. There can be dozens of reasons why a position looks great at the beginning and then turns out not to be great. If you do not have the without cause termination clause in the contract, you could be stuck at the job for the entire length of the term. So, under termination, you absolutely must have without cause termination. Also, there will be language in there that says if one party breaches the agreement, the other party can terminate it with, once again, a certain amount of notice to the other party. And usually there'd be what's called a cure period. And that just means if one party's in breach, violating the agreement, the other party has to let them know. They have usually 30 days, sometimes 15 to 30 days to fix whatever the problem is. And then if it is fixed, then the other party can't terminate the agreement for cause. Next, compensation. So for PAs, it's going to be usually a base salary. Sometimes it's an hourly rate. And then also there usually would be some kind of productivity bonus involved. And that could be through net collections, RVUs, patient encounters. Really just depends, but there'll be some kind of combination of those. So you want to make sure that if there's productivity bonuses in the contract that they're attainable. Someone, many times the employer will say, oh, you can make up to $150,000 in this position, or, pick some number. And then when you actually do the math on, all right, well, what is the volume, or what are the RVUs generated by the current PAs, or how much net collections, does an average PA get? It's nowhere near what would be needed to hit that bonus number. So you want to make sure the bonus is attainable if it has language in there. Next, benefits. So one of the good things about being an employee are the benefits that are associated with it. So most contracts will have health, vision, dental, life, disability, retirement. They'll pay for your dues and fees, so your PA license, DEA registration, credentialing, privileging, continuing education. Perhaps they'll give you a signing bonus if you're moving to get there, or moving expenses. So most of those details are not spelled out necessarily in the contract, but you need to find them somewhere. Most places will have some kind of PDF that lists all the benefits, but you definitely want to make certain you understand what you're being provided before starting the position. Signing bonus, that's usually negotiable. The other types of benefits usually are not. Maybe how much you get for CE, that type of thing, but like the health, vision, dental, disability, retirement, it is what it is. That's what they offer. And then the last thing will be the restrictive covenants. So non-compete, non-solicit, non-disparagement. Most people care about the non-compete. The non-compete simply says the PA can't work within a specific specialty, usually, for a period of time within a specific geographic region. So when you're a PA, you absolutely want to make sure that the language in the restrictive covenant, the non-compete, states you can't work for the specialty that you are working for that practice. So let me give an example. Let's say you're in an orthopedic practice, you assist in surgery. You want to make certain that the language states you can't work in orthopedics for 1 year and 10 miles or something like that. You don't want to be completely shut out of having any kind of PA activities. Many of these non-competes will state you can't practice as a physician assistant for 1 year and 10 miles or whatever. You want it to be specific to the organization that you're working with. 2, 1 year is a good and reasonable amount of time for non-compete. Anything over that, most likely unreasonable. And then 3, the geographic restriction. This really depends upon where you are geographically, meaning 5 miles in New York City is much different than 5 miles in rural South Dakota. So if it's a decent sized city, 5 to 15 miles would be like a normal amount. When you're in a very small city, the mileage usually doesn't really matter because there aren't any other competitive opportunities within that radius, even if it's 40 miles. So those are just the basics of a physician assistant employment agreement. If you have any questions about an employment agreement, independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm at the phone number listed below in the description, or you can reach us through our website, ChelleLaw.com. If you thought this video was helpful, please like, subscribe to the channel. We have tons of content on physician assistant contracts, and we release videos every single day. All right, appreciate it. Thanks.